Sairam, everyone. Just to recollect what we discussed last week, Swami is talking to us about tripti or contentment. He wants us to use meditation to cultivate that. And he says once we have the contentment, other qualities needed for our progress in meditation would be granted to us. He also said that we should only desire and seek Atma Sakshatkara, or the realization of the Lord, the Atman itself. That should be our goal. So those were the themes which we discussed last week. We can continue from where we left off. So I will ask our sisters to continue. Saira.
Sarah, in summary, everyone must develop the virtue of contentment through the practice of meditation, Dhyana Sadhana. Contentment is a pure, sattvic quality. It will not transform you into an idler, no, not at all. Instead, it will permit the mind to travel toward the Lord, and it will grant peace. It will also hinder unessential activities that have profit for oneself as the aim. The contented person will be fully pure, sattvic, and will lead an inner life in common communion with the Atma. That person can do any work without rest and without complaint. The waves of the mind, which sway in many directions, get a single aim. The sages, rishis, religious mendicants, bhikshus, and yogis of the past realized the goal of the life by means of the peace that come to them through contentment. Contentment gives all spiritual aspirants the enthusiasm and the vigor necessary for treading the path that leads to realization of God, Sakshatkara. Contented, the aspirant can ignore the dangers and difficulties of the path. The aspirant treats all the impermanent things of this life as poison and discards them as trash. Discrimination, renunciation, and the spirit of inquiry develop through contentment. The story of Meera is an example of this. Understand well the stories of Radha, Jayadeva, and Gauranga, for they will teach you the truth.
Thank you very much, sister. So Swami, I think we read this and discussed briefly, I guess, last week also. So Swami is, generally people would say if someone is contented, there's no motivation. That's what people generally think. That's the contentment which comes as a result of achieving something in the world. Whereas the contentment what Swami is talking about is the sattvic quality in the path of spirituality, where actually that becomes a motivating factor for us to act, for us to live in this world very actively without being worried about anything. So that is the very positive contentment quality which Swami wants us to cultivate, as we can see. And Swami says the rishis, yogis, and bhikshus had this in ample measure. And then Swami also is singling out a few devotees in whose life they had contentment, though they did not have much worldly possessions. But they were so contented that they did the work for the Lord. They didn't even think that they were doing the work for the Lord. But what they have done has inspired millions of people throughout history. And Swami himself is pointing them out to us. So I will stop there with my remarks? I will open it up for participants to share your thoughts, please, Saira.
Sairam, actually last week I was speaking about the other side of contentment, and in this paragraph I realized that contentment, at least in these passages, refers to the satisfaction in our worship to the Lord. So when we do spiritual sadhana, say nama smarana, japa, or meditation, or contemplation of God's glory, the past experience we had with the Bhagawan. So when we relive those moments, we are rewarded. We are rewarded. We are given a we enjoy a peace in our mind, a satisfaction or happiness, which is contentment. So the other side of the contentment is the worldly achievements. I feel contented. I don't want any promotion. I don't want more wealth and everything. I want only spiritual sadhana and the real purpose and the way to achieve the real purpose. So here in these paragraphs, very clearly it indicates the contentment is the contentment is the happiness that we enjoy when we deeply meditate or relive the past moments of the Lord. So that happiness, which is the contentment, will make us always cheerful in our heart, and we don't feel dejected in life. Even the death and disease and everything is not bothering us, because we say at any time we can leave the world, and it is that we are not going to lose anything like that. So that is the contentment the Bhagawan is talking about. But the last time I was talking about the contentment with the worldly side. So I think I have made clear what I wanted to say, and because Kalyani, Narmada were involved in this discussion, I can see the two sides of the contentment. One is satisfaction in the worldly achievements. At the same time, that satisfaction on the worldly side gives inducement for the spiritual sadhana, where we are rewarded peace. That is the contentment, which has no tiredness or anything. Okay, thank you, Sairam. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you very much, brother. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts, please?
Sairam.
Sairam, Auntie.
Getting all the plus points of contentment, Swami finishes by saying the outcomes of contentment: discrimination, renunciation, and the spirit of inquiry. These develop through contentment. And these three are very, very important in a spiritual life. So that is rewarded by contentment. So we find that how contentment can be beneficial to us in our God way path. Thank you, Sairam.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Auntie. Thank you.
So, Sairam, brother, here the contentment. So, if you want to satisfy, we have to control the mind. So, the mind, the desire comes through the mind. So, the mind will go around because of the desire. You cannot satisfy the mind. So always the mind goes with the five senses. So no point in controlling the five senses. We have to control the mind. If we control the mind, the five senses not going to attract it to the world we desire thing. So the dhyana, that's what Swami is talking about. Dhyana is the important that will control the mind. So in Archana also had the problem. So Lord the Lord said, Krishna said, you have to practice the dhyana. That is the only way we can control the mind. Even Archana said, is that mind is like a air, I cannot control. Then Krishna said, you have to practice that one. That is the only solution. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, brother Sairam. Anyone else would like to share any thoughts, please?
Brother, for the contentment, here we have said the discrimination, renunciation, the spirit inquiry is very important. From the story of Meera, we understand that she renounced everything. She was always praying to Krishna. So her contentment is seeing only the God. But I'm trying to understand from the story of Radha. I know Radha is Krishna, but is anything story tells how she demonstrated the renunciation or discrimination with this Radha story? Anything you see, any story behind for Radha in regards to that? Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Again, I will ask anyone who would like to share the story of Radha, and the way she was contented, and as Swami has asked us to consider. Okay, maybe in the absence of anyone else speaking up, I will speak. Radha also had the same issues which Meera had. Actually, much worse, I would say, because Radha was so enamored by Krishna, so devoted to her, that she had to bear the ill treatment by her own family. And so it was not an easy life for Radha. But Krishna also teased her so much. But of course, that only made her devotion grow stronger. She had to lead a normal life like anyone else, like a cowherd woman. But her life was, whatever difficulty she faced, the love for Krishna and the total dedication for Krishna was never affected by that. Because even though the troubles, generally what happens when we face troubles in life, we think our motivation to even to be devoted to the Lord, it becomes questioned. Because why she was able to retain that devotion was because of contentment. Even because she was contented, in spite of all difficulties, she was devoted to Krishna. Her devotion actually grew. The same thing with Jayadeva. Jayadeva even lost his limbs. People cut off his hands and legs and threw him into a well. But he was not affected. He was not sad about it. That was the devotion of Jayadeva. So actually, all these people didn't have very comfortable lives. If you take Gauranga, Swami says he used to sing the names of Krishna and go on the streets. People used to pelt stones at him. He used to take a drum and beat, so they took away the drum from him. Then he was using cymbals to keep beat and sing. They took away his cymbals, talam. Then he was clapping. So people came and held his hand also. So that is the amount of trouble he had to go through. But none of this actually affected him, his devotion. So even in spite of all these difficulties and hardships, they were contented. So, that's the story of this. And that is, you can imagine the amount of meditation they had, the success in meditation they had. Because their meditation was never disturbed by any of these things in their lives. So Swami is holding up very, very high ideals for us to emulate or try to strive towards. And that's my understanding, Sister Sairam.
Sairam, brother, because Swami has said one word here, well, understand well the story. Okay. So based on that, the story, is it like a love for God give you the contentment, and the love for God only give you the discrimination, renunciation? Everything comes from love for God? Is that the way I see it? Things.
The first sentence itself tells, sister, in summary, everyone must develop the virtue of contentment through the practice of meditation. Okay. So Swami, that's the starting statement on the slide. So he says, when we practice meditation, sometimes we don't know why we are doing meditation. Swami says, it is to cultivate this kind of contentment, which these great devotees who had. So the meditation became so continuous, nothing affected them. So that's my understanding. I will open it up for others to share their thoughts. Sairam.
So Sairam, brother. So in the first line, it is saying, through meditation, through the practice of meditation, that we have to develop contentment. So, so that is why sister is trying to say, love of God or meditation, that gives us contentment. Through that contentment, when the contentment is there, as Sister Balandy said, discrimination, renunciation, and the spirit of inquiry develop. So those are the three important things which we get through contentment, which makes us entirely divine life. Like these examples, Radha, Jayadeva, Gauranga, Meera. So to go to that extent, we need renunciation at least, no? Discrimination, renunciation, and spirit of inquiry. So spirit of inquiry to know that the worldly achievement is useless. The inquiry. So those things are important. So first thing for us to develop contentment. So that that's what we want to achieve first. Thank you, Sairam.
So Sairam, brother, if I put in a nutshell, if we are in the spiritual sadhana, we're going to get tests from the God. So we have to take everything as a contentment. Oh, this is God is testing me. If any problems, anything happen, you should not move out from the path of sadhana, whatever the spiritual sadhana. We have to be contentment. This is God is testing me. I have to take this one, and God will help me to achieve the path. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, brother, Sairam. Anyone else? If none, we can move on. I think everyone is contented with the topic, so we will go.
If I could just ask one question. So at the very beginning of Dhyana Vahini, in the first chapter, Swami kind of prescribed, how we should sit in meditation, and we should just say the name of the Lord in our mind. So meditation in one sense, I guess one aspect of it is to repeat the name of the Lord. And then yesterday we talked about how bhakti is equal or equivalent to the sweetness of the name of the Lord. So going back to Auntie Aruna's question about, is it love for God or is it meditation? So can you say that dhyana and meditation is it like almost the same as bhakti, or?
Yes, that's my understanding. It is a different description of the same quality, is what I understand, sister.
Yeah.
As Swami has said, without bhakti, there's no success in any form of any path of spirituality. So dhyana sort of helps, because dhyana helps, I think, from my understanding, because the more you think of something, the more love and joy you will get out of that. That's the reality. And Swami says you have to develop the taste. I think in some place he said that also. We have to develop the taste for that, and it's that itself takes time. And I think it's at that point in time, the word jnana, dhyana, bhakti, all of them mean the same thing. But we had to start somewhere, try something. I think that's my understanding. I will again open it up. It's a good question. I will ask others also to share their thoughts. Sai. Okay, then we will.
Hello.
Somebody. Yes, please.
Sairam. Mani aunty here.
Sairam aunty, solunga. Please.
Bhakti is the basic foundation for any other sadhana. Before we go to jnana or dhyana or any tapas, bhakti, the devotion to the Lord, you develop a sort of love for God and you dedicate yourself to the Lord. So that is bhakti. Bhakti can lead you to, it facilitates your mind to go on dhyana. So, and it, of course, they overlap each other, and call it dhyana or tapas or anything like that. Bhakti must be there. Without bhakti, you cannot afford to do any dhyana. Sairam.
Thank you very much, Auntie.
Sairam, what
Yes,
is bhakti? It's love for God. So that is a basic thing. We should have that love for God. We want to yearn for him. Swami says you earn like a child yearning for the mother, or a beggar who has not eaten for a long time, when he wants some food and somebody in front of him with some food, and how he feels. And a child, a calf crying for the mother. So that sort of a feeling, what do you call that? Tavipu, the thirst, that feeling, the pure love for God, it is a basic thing. From that, all the other things can develop. Without this, as Mani Aunty says, without that bhakti or the love of God, nothing is going to happen. So that is the basic principle we should think about. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, Auntie, Sairam.
Sairam, I have maybe a follow-up question or something. Yesterday morning, we studied about, in order to reach the God or to get into the inner world, we have to open two doors. That is love for God, fear of sin, and the love for God. These two doors we have to open in order to get into the eternal bliss, or to reach the God, or something in the Sandega Nivarani. And so if it is only, the love for God is the only necessary or the basic fundamental things to lead into the eternal bliss, why Swami has mentioned the other one, fear of sin, maybe that is the even one door we can get into there. Maybe that is the one. If we, maybe the second door, just to eliminate the maybe curdles, or I just connected here we only talk about the love for God, but over there we studied we have to open both doors, then only we can reach into the God.
Thank you very much,
Sairam,
Sairam.
When you have love of God, automatically the fear of sin comes, I think. That is the way, when you really love God, Swami talks about Deva Pridi, Papa Pidi, and Sanga Nidhi. all this is automatic come when we have the desire or the love, not desire, a love for God, then automatically all these things will follow. We will get rid of all the bad qualities also even in us, because we'll be shown a way that this is wrong, don't do it. That is the way I feel. I don't know whether I'm correct, but I feel if you have really the love for God, then automatically the fear of sin comes. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, Auntie.
But
Anyone else?
yeah, for purifying the mind, cleansing our mind, Papa Bhiti must be there. First of all, you fear sin and cleanse your mind. Only then the mind can go to God without any fear. The background should be clean. To reach God, to pray to God also, we need that Papa Bhiti. Unless you are ready to sacrifice, unless you are ready to cleanse your mind, bhakti will not come to us. I hope that's what I thinking.
Thank you very much, Auntie. Thank you.
So, Sairam, brother, in my understanding is the fear of sin and the love of God. This is the basic fundamental character supposed to have every devotee. If you don't have that one, you cannot achieve anything, even the bhakti. Sairam, brother.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Sorry, this is just my understanding and a question as well. So for me, when I think of bhakti, is as aunties, everyone mentioned here, that's the first thing. You love God, love Swami. And when you love Swami and then you follow his teachings, and he's teaching about doing the right thing and all that. So that comes first. And I think then self-understanding, when you understand, when you love God, you also understand God is within you. And when that understanding comes, then when that realization or when understanding comes, you're doing the right thing, and then you are doing dhyana and things like that. So I always think bhakti, I have always associated with bhakti with respect to the pujas and all the rituals that we do to kind of understand, and then more higher, or when you understand yourself, the dhyana, and then understanding God is within you, you are God, that sort of level as the next thing. So maybe my understanding is wrong here, because when I'm trying to equate bhakti and dhyana, it's a bit having a bit of difficulty. Maybe my understanding here is wrong. Can you clarify that? Because I always thought of bhakti as more of God is there, I'm here, I'm praying, that sort of dual sensation. And when you understand God is within you, it's a bit more spiritual. I don't know, maybe that is wrong.
I don't know if it's wrong or not, sister, but I will open it up for others to share their thoughts, if anyone will. If no one is willing, maybe I will just say, I think a very good question by Sister Kalyan. She says in Dhyana Vahini, Swami starts out with how you have to sit, on what you have to sit. All that Swami goes through. And then here he's saying, this is what it is, So how that connects to this is a question we ask. I think Swami has spoken about this in other places also. See, our mind is like a child. I think everyone, if there are mothers and fathers, they will understand when a baby is born, feeding the child itself is a big challenge. Sometimes it may take hours to get them to feed. So you have to coax them this way, that way. You make them sit in one place and eat. You will say, don't run around. You have to sit in one place and eat. Then the child will say, why should I sit in one place and eat? I can run and eat also. You'll say, no, it's not good. And we will try to make them sit. So the same way, the mind is, when it's not trained, it has to be trained. Later on, when it grows as an adult and when it loves food, we can't even stop them from eating. We can't stop ourselves from eating, because the mother who would have raised would think, how come this person is eating like this? I struggled for years to get them to eat a plate of food. So the mind has to be trained properly. This is my understanding I'm sharing. So what happens from that state, when you come to the next state, then you have what is called You have to say, don't do anything bad. Try to, Daiva Preeti is not, in my understanding, is not same as bhakti. Because when you don't have the love for God, you have to cultivate the love for God. Or liking for God. Preeti, I would say, is more like liking. So at that stage, okay, you have to say, I should like God, I should pray to him, I should think of him. Because the bhakti, the flame of bhakti has still not risen. So you have to do all these three until the bhakti comes. Once bhakti comes, none of this matters. When bhakti comes, absolutely nothing matters, because it's all, everything is part of it. But until that stage, we need to know in which stage we are there. But I think the question of Sister Narmada about the pujas and things like that, they are generally called upasana. Upasana is a way of cultivating love for God, not that love is there already. So the thing is, it's like, you want to get to know a person, means I want to spend some time. So you go and, okay, let's meet. So let's go for a lunch, or let's go and have this. But then we are trying to develop love for another person, or getting to know the person. So upasana is where you start interacting with the Lord, and hopefully then the flame of love suddenly sparks. After that, you don't have to do upasana. You can, once the spouse is married, you can even scold them, and they will put up with it. Okay, it's like that the Lord will also put up with Ninda Stuti. But the thing is, because as long as they feel the love in us, Lord will. So I think it is a gradual process. So we need to realize for ourselves which state we are in, and how our mind has to be trained, and do accordingly. And even if we have come up, then we should not, Swami will say, you should still follow the discipline, because others are looking. You can't say, oh, this is not needed, When you develop bhakti, you don't need. That doesn't mean you should not do. We should still follow the discipline, is my understanding. I may be wrong, but I thought I will share my perspective on this, Saira. Anyone else, if they have something to say, please. Okay, if there's nothing more to say, we can move on to the next slide. I hope, Kalyani, you're okay with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think based on what I understood from what you said, so with how Swami prescribed how we should start off doing dhyana, sit down and practicing the name of the Lord again and again. And then yesterday we read in Dhyana Vahini how when the name of the Lord brings that sweetness, that's bhakti. So I guess at one point we will get to that stage where every time we say the name of the Lord, it's filled with that sweetness.
Just like the food. Once you like food, people not get up from the plate. Same thing. Okay, Sairam.
Liberation, the goal of meditation, the beneficent and the maleficent impulses. The fulfillment of life consists in the realization of the Atma, Atma Sakshatkara. To get this realization, one should be entirely free from impulses, vasanas. Liberation, moksha, is in the true sense of the term, liberation from the bondage of these impulses. These tendencies are of two types, beneficent and maleficent. The beneficent tendencies are saturated with holiness. The maleficent ones feed the mind and make it more and more uncontrollable and unsteady. They spread and strengthen the desire for objective pleasure. If the beneficent impulses, subhavasanas, are encouraged and cultivated, they will not go on multiplying and binding the mind indefinitely. They become fried seeds, which will not sprout. If you stick to the beneficent impulses, you can easily acquire knowledge of Brahman, Brahmajnana. These impulses are characterized by such activities as association with great souls, Mahatmas, reverence for the great, conversation with them, following their advice, charity, fortitude, love, patience, truth, courage, continence, etc. These are the pure impulses.
Thank you very much, sister. There's nothing much for me to say here. Swami has introduced the concept of vasanas, how we have to overcome the vasanas, overcome the bad vasanas and cultivate good vasanas, I guess. So I will just open it up for discussion. Participants can share what you think or have any questions. Saira.
Vasanas are the impressions of our past lives. They come along with us. When we are born, we bring our own vasanas. The past lives have accumulated so many of the Ashubha Vasana as well as Shubha Vasana, Swami calls it. So both of them are there, and it all depends on us how to overcome the one Ashubha Vasana by developing, by cultivating more of good vasanas, that's impulses. Swami, what he calls good impulses, beneficent impulses. Saira.
Thank you very much.
Auntie, here Swami saying we have to be entirely free from impulses, vasanas.
Yeah,
both, right?
The stage has to come, until you are born with all the impressions of the past. So how will you get over? You have to develop good qualities, good habits, so that they are all eradicated slowly. All the bad vasanas should be eradicated. Sairam.
So the good vasanas comes as one then later.
No, not that way. You have both when you are born. You have both vasanas. And the circumstances and situations in which you are found. If you are supposing you have good vasanas from the past birth, and if you are born in a family where there is a lot of spiritual atmosphere, then you will develop that. And at the same time, if you are surrounded by a bad atmosphere, all your past evil tendencies will come up. And that's what I feel.
Okay, thank you.
Saira,
thank you, Auntie. Thank you.
My understanding then, if vasanas are impressions from our past life, then what you mean by that is the good and bad is like your desires or your habits or your behaviors that are there, and then they kind of get magnified or turned on by the like surroundings that you are born in this birth, and you have to kind of overcome them. Let's say if you had bad habits, and if you're in a family that has that kind of thing, then that kind of impressions come out. Is that what you're trying to say?
Arun, can I read that Telugu version?
Yes, Auntie, please.
See, Swami is very clearly indicating what are the good vasanas and how to develop them. If we are with good satsangam, మంచి వాసనలకు గుర్తులే మహాత్ములతో సత్సంగము, వారి దర్శన స్పర్శన సంభాషణములు, వాటిపై అభిరుచి, దయ, ఓర్పు, ప్రేమ, సహనము, సత్యము, ధైర్యము, క్షమ, బ్రహ్మచర్యము మొదలైనవి. Swami is clearly giving the examples of good vasanas. So he is patience, love, and endurance, truth, courage, forgiveness, and celibacy, brahmacharyam. These are the things, these are the good vasanas. Swami is clearly stating that. Next, I think in the next paragraph you find all those. Charity, fortitude, love, patience, courage, and continence. Yeah.
It's better we read that part also, I think.
Yeah, we should have read Shubha Vasana.
So just one point, I think Sister Aruna's question is Swami has also answered here. If you read the second paragraph, Swami says if the beneficent impulses, Shubha Vasanas, are encouraged and cultivated, they will not go on multiplying and binding the mind indefinitely. they become fried seeds,
Right, seeds.
which
Yeah.
will not sprout. So the good vasanas have this tendency that they will just die. They will not sprout. Maybe that is why our good qualities don't come up, because they're already fried all the time. But bad vasanas keep on sprouting each day. So we have to make extra effort to develop good vasanas. But Swami says, if we have good vasanas, as Auntie said, we will get the association of Mahatmas. We'll get time to talk to them, to see they have the darshan, to touch them, and also the other good qualities. So Swami is telling, so we have to work hard, because they have easily fried seeds. So not like the weeds which come up, when you don't want them also they come up. But the grass seeds die. You have to buy grass seeds every season to, for your lawn. So that is the reality, I guess. Sahiram.
So we have to be on our guard to develop good vasanas, because they are like fried seeds. They won't sprout. They won't sprout. So forcefully we have to bring in that good qualities, so that all these bad vasanas can be removed from our heart. Sairam.
So Sairam, brother. So my understanding is vasana, because of the vasana only we have taken this birth. If we don't have vasana, there is no birth. So that's what we studied before too, in the before that when they born, we can only Lord can see how their mala is very big or small. So if you are with the vasana, don't add more and more vasana, then it will going to put you in trouble. So you have to go to the birth and death cycle is going to continue. So you try to learn about the Atma, how we can merge with Atma, how we can understand about the Atma. That's the reason we are participating in the study circle and reading the books and understand. So that is the reason also Baba used to say, come and do the service at the Puttapati. The reason why we can also do our Sai Center, our other places. The reason when we go to Puttapati, when we do the service, we only say Sai Ram, and we do the service, because we don't understand other people. There's no connection. So only way when we do the service, we are giving that good service, good thing to Lord. So we are not thinking there that I am doing the service, I won't have anything taking with me. I'm surrendering everything to the Lord. That means it's all like a burnt seed. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you.
One more sentence Swami says in Telugu. Shubhavasanalu veyinchina vittanamuletlu. That's fried seeds. It's just like fried seeds which don't sprout. ఆ విధముగా మంచి వాసనములు గలవారికి జన్మలుండవు. There is no no other birth for such people. That's also he's assuring us. అట్టి వాసనలు నిన్ను అంటి పెట్టుకున్న బ్రహ్మ జ్ఞానము సులువుగా పొందవచ్చు. So it is very easy for such persons who have this good vasanas. It is easy for them to attain Brahma Gnana.
Yeah, thank you, Sairam. That's what that word is missing. That
sentence is missing completely.
Which
so,
one?
No.
Which will not. That sentence is missing.
No. That there will be no birth.
No birth. It's not written there. Yeah.
That sentence is not here, no?
Yeah.
It's not in English. So the fried seeds means, so the bad vasanas, when we do more and more bad vasanas, it multiply and it will give birth and birth again and again and again. But when we cultivate good vasanas, like a good example is meditation. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita too. The meditation is a very strong vasana, and good vasana we input. That will kill the bad vasanas, and the meditation vasana will not bring any new birth. So the good vasanas are helping us to kill or remove or suppress the bad vasanas, and the special tendency in the good vasana is it will not bring new birth.
New birth.
New birth, yeah. So that is another reason we say that we do everything offering to God without expecting any fruit thereof. So when even in the good vasanas, if we expect fruit, desired result, fame, name, or merit, I want to go punya, everything. So those things will bring birth. Even if one person is doing only good vasanas, all his bad vasanas is died now, suppose died, and the person is continually doing good vasanas for the sake of earning merit, then what happen is they take a birth as Deva, God. And they enjoy that the result of this good vasana because they wanted the benefit of that good impulses now. So they enjoy the heavenly enjoyment, and they then after exhausting that, they will come back directly as the human here on earth, then start again to work, not to work for desire, fruit. So when there is no aim on fruit, then no birth.
Yeah.
This is the whole theory of the birth and vasanas and things.
So there's a distinction between good karma and good vasana. Good karma will cause birth, but good vasanas will help to liberate. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, brother, actually, the prarabdha part of the karma, three karma, prarabdha, sanjidam, ahamyam. So the prarabdha karma cannot be burned even in this life, even we continually doing good vasanas. Prarabdha cannot be burned because it is already destined. That's the reason why the people, the saints and the sages are undergoing the diseases and like that. So it was already destined. But other karmas can be wiped out by developing good vasanas without expecting any fruit thereof. So only thing is the prarabdham. That's only the issue for us. Because, yeah, Saira.
That vasanas and that karma is different. No, karma is different. No, we are not mixed with it, I guess. That
yeah, actually correct. You are correct.
Yeah, that vasanas is good vasanas can burn. No, that's not stay longer. But that's will proud out, and it's not proud. That bad vasanas is proud. No, that's an exist and growing. That we have to work for that to destroy it. That you do that. Sadhanas. Through the sadhanas, we can destroy them. And that good vasanas is help us and always grow our spiritual path, and it will not sprout and growing. You know, that it's not disturbing our for the liberation, I guess. Thank you, Sai.
Sai Ram, brothers.
Sai Ram, this is such an aha moment for me today. Just to share, I was just, as you brother said, you know, the weeds and the seeds. And I'm just kind of pictured this year, I have taken a responsibility of my garden. And my husband taught me, and I did some research. When you overseed, the purpose is to not to have a room for weeds. And that could be bad vasanas. So I went into my lawn and I was talking to weeds. I said, you know what? I might not be able to take all of you out this year, but over 5-6 years, slowly, I overseed so much with good vasanas. I'm just relating good vasanas overseed. I will overseed my lawn so much that there won't be any space for you. So it's basically weeds will be there, bad vasanas will be there, but it has to be internally. We have to say, I'm going to plug so many good vasanas through meditation, Bhagawan's name, or whatever, that there won't any room for, you know, any bad vasanas. And also my neighbor, he had dandelions. So what happened is, it's spoiling our lawn as well because it flies and it's just spoiling. So I was telling my husband, we should go and tell him his lawn is bad. And because of that, we are getting, our lawn is spoiling and we have to spend so much time. And then my husband said, no, don't worry about it. You continue doing the good things, keep taking out the weeds, whatever it takes, but we can't tell other people. So I'm just relating. You know what? If other are bad, we can't tell you you're bad, you have to improve. But what are you doing to keep improving yourself? So I don't know, it's a good analogy, but it's an aha moment for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sister. I think it's all related to company, Satsangatve, the company is not very good. Maybe you have to move. So, if our company is bad, we are going to take bad vasanas.
So I'm going to tell them to remove their lawn. Or do something to their lawn. They have to do something to their lawn.
This is the abasu, the bad vasanas that you brought, no? So the environment is not holy,
Yeah.
You can actually help, sister, oversee their lawn.
I think, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a very good idea. That's what I'm going to do.
We should spread good qualities on others also, and hopefully.
Sure. Yeah. Because sometimes you have no choice. You can't move away from, I should not say bad people, company, because the relationship you have and all of those things. So slowly, with your good deeds, you can change them, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Got it.
Sairam brothers, can someone explain about what is the exact difference about if it is a bad karma and the bad vasana, or the good karma and the good vasana? Maybe up until today, I have misunderstood. I thought the karma and the vasanas, maybe the vasana is the maybe same meaning about the karma. When now only I realized that maybe the karma is different from vasana. So I want to have a little bit more explanation about that, what it really meant by karma and what is meant by the vasanas. Maybe there could be some overlapping of the meaning, but there must be a definite difference. There should be a difference, because Brother Vimalesh and Brother Sivadas and Brother Rajagopal, they mentioned that we have to understand the difference between the karma and the vasanas. So maybe one of you can explain the how to differentiate, maybe
I think I can say this for that question. The karma is the consequence of all our thoughts, words, and actions. I think, to my understanding, I'm saying, if anyone can correct if wrong. So karma is the consequence of our thoughts, words, and actions. So to undergo the consequence, we have to keep taking birth. Vasanas are the impulses or the tendency, I don't know how to, the innate tendency it becomes our sort of nature or whatever you can. So that's also the results of our thoughts, words, and deeds. But that's what I think we can simply say that Swami's quote that I don't know, please, you can say that I don't know the whole quote. You saw a habit and I don't know. I forgot. I can't repeat the whole, but that's a beautiful quote. Swami always says that if you do something and then it becomes your habit, then it becomes your nature, destiny, something like that. Swami says so. That is vasana. So that's a difference. That's what I can say, Saira.
Maybe one is action, one is the consequence. So the one is maybe action and our character. Maybe karma goes more of our action. Maybe the vasanas, it's about our characters or our the attitudes in that side. Maybe that sort of understanding I got it from Brother Vimalesan.
Yeah, that Swami says it's simply if he for example as I don't know said that's why the satsanga is important in the Bhagawan. In the verse he said satsangatve nisangatvam nisangatve nirmotam. It goes like that. So that's a very important thing, but because that will cause all. It will help to develop good vasanas. That's so. Just for example, if we find it difficult to get up in Brahma Muhurtam, but if we do it one day, second day, third day, it becomes then easier. Then it becomes our nature also eventually. So everything is like that. So at the beginning is that's what Swami says. So that's and also as Swami says that won't bind us in any way. That will help to liberate only. So but so if we do anything with the kartatvam, the ego only, then karma, the consequence there and all that. But if we do all these sadhanas with the only motive of liberation or to merge with the God, then these vasanas will help us liberate. Saira.
Mr. Anandi, I would like to say, actually, the vasanas are the deciding factor in one person's life to do an action. It draws you to that particular action because of your past vasana. If you have a spiritual atmosphere in your house where you had your already that seed is there, it will sprout. It will sprout, and it will take you to a particular action where your impression, your impulse, the past impulses will sprout. That's how vasana leads you to do some particular action. I think I have made it clear to you, Anandi.
Okay, thank you, Mani Aunty. Yeah, thank you so much.
This be a good analogy. Oh, sorry. There's an echo.
Someone's phone is
Echo.
Taira.
Okay, go ahead, Sister Kalyani.
Would this be a good analogy to explain it based on what I understand? So I think karma, it can refer to both the action and also the consequences of the action. So if we say that planting the seed, that is the action, that's the karma, then when that seed germinates and sprouts, you have the shoot going upward, which becomes the plant and the tree, and then the roots going downward. So could you say that the roots are like the vasanas, and then the tree that sprouts is like the consequences? So what you see in your life and all of the consequences, the good and bad in your life, that's the karma that you have from previous births. And then the roots are kind of what goes into your subconscious mind and I guess stays with you.
So maybe I will attempt. I think to
Saira, my understanding that the vasanas that coming through the generations, we come through a lot of generation, and we got several mother, father, and that genetic relationship. This comes through that. My understanding that that way is coming, that vasanas, that yes, accumulated from that way, I guess, that vasanas come, and also that it's coming several generations that come with that accumulated like a gandamala. That comes to like that, I guess. That's the way. Saira.
so maybe I will attempt if others are not there. So I'll just address first Sister Kalyani's question, and then I will see whether if I have something to add to others, what others have said about Sister Anandi's question. Others have also explained, but maybe I will just complement. I think, Sister Kalyani, the thing is the vasanas come as seeds, as Swami has used the word. So the seeds, once they are planted, there will be roots going out and the plant will grow. That is all the manifestation of the karma pala. Okay, because you have done the planting of the seed and you have watered it, so the tree is going to grow and there will be roots and there will be tree. Okay, that will be ingrained. But what happens is the vasanas multiply because that tree will bear fruits and each of those fruit will have a seed. Those seeds will come with you in the next life. So, and I think so always understand vasanas as seeds. Then you can ask, what are karma? Okay, the karma is the consequence of action. So I think just to give another analogy, for example, there's a small kid. The kid, falls into a company of a few friends who have the habit of smoking. So the child goes and starts smoking with them. And then what happens? He develops the tendency to smoke. Then he becomes addicted to smoking. So once he gets addicted to smoking, he smokes, continuously smokes. But what happens? Because he's smoking, his body has to face the consequence of that smoking. Okay, so now you are dealt with two problems. One is addiction. One is the problem of smoking, the problem caused by smoking. So our karma is the consequence of the action of smoking, which is we are left with a diseased body. But at the same time, the action also has caused the vasanas to build up and become stronger. Then that has become our nature. So what happens? So we think, okay, if we die, for example, if I have become diabetic, for example, okay, I will say, my God, this disease is a God, give me a new body, I will be fine. But many people don't realize that if I die as a diabetic, I will be born as a diabetic, or the tendency to become a diabetic. I will again crave for sugar. So the thing is, sometimes we blame it on the family, hereditary, generation, but even the family is coming to us only because of that. Our soul will search for a family where we can born and where our vasanas can fructify, and we will continue to enjoy the fruits of our action. So we all should understand that karma cannot be burnt. So even I just gave a small example of disease, then that's why people have juvenile diabetes or whatever, You can blame it on all sorts of things. You can say something wrong with the gene, try to fix the gene, look for medicine. But the problem is, it is a consequence of some action. That is why we are born. So both will come. We will come to a place where our consequences of actions can be experienced. That is the environment in which we are born. And our tendencies also will come and then start sprouting, because that environment will be very beneficial for flourishing of those vasanas. So whenever we think or whenever we do an action, there are two consequences. One is the physical action and the consequence of that action. The second one is the impact on the mind, where the tendency will become stronger and stronger, which is the seed of vasanas. So all sadhana, but generally what happens when we are born and we are going to pray to Swami, we are always asking him, Swami, take care of the fruits of our karma. Swami, I have this disease, please cure me. Swami, I don't have money, please help. But these are actually consequences of our actions. But a good devotee will say, Swami, please deal with my vasanas. I want to fix that. So really the sadhana is to deal with the vasanas. Swami will say, don't worry about the karma phala, which is prarabdham. You have to go through, no problem. That is not a bigger problem. The bigger problem is the vasanas. So all sadhana is actually targeting the vasana. So for Atma Sakshatkara, when you pray to God, you ask God to help you overcome your vasanas. And every sadhana is actually doing that only. But unfortunately, sometimes we think if we do 108 Gayatris, my disease will go away. Or I will become healthy. Then Swami will say, what will you do after you become healthy? Because your vasanas are still there. That's what Swami will say. He is more worried about our vasanas, and he will cure that. That's my understanding. I'm sorry I spoke a lot. I will open it up for any comments or shares.
Taking up, taking up the same analogy of yours, Varun.
Yes,
say that boy who is pure in the beginning, he goes to a company where they are all smoking. But at the same time, if he had the good samskara, what we call samskara, the past births,
Shubhavasanas.
Shubhavasanas are still there. So he has got a choice to resist that smoking. He can say that no, I don't want to smoke. But that strong vasana in him helps him to resist smoking and going into the bad way. I feel that's also a very important part of our vasanas. We give good samskara to our children so that it sprouts whenever there is a situation like that. Sairam.
Thank you very much, Auntie. Thank you.
So Sairam, brother, I'd like to add some more things. So vasana is a collection of thoughts, or it's a collection of or desire. Because of the desire only, you are coming back. So other word, we are saying because of the vasana, a lot of desire, you are coming back. If you don't have the desire, you're not going to come back. But karma, whatever you will explain, is action of thoughts, words, deeds. So that's what, when you go to the Puttapati, when you surrender everything, then your vasana is coming less and less and less, good or bad. So eventually, okay, you came with the 25, now Baba Swami is going to look at that, oh, you are left only 5, good vasana. So she can burn that 5, or she can take over by grace, and you can merge with Swami. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you.
I think it's most important thing is, as Brother Arunav said, all the sadhanas, the purpose of all the sadhanas is to get rid of bad vasanas and develop good samskaras. Sairam.
Sairam.
Brother Sairam, so brother, when you rid of all the karma, there's no birth and death. So, but vasanas only will give you the merge with the God. Is that the way you define? Because it gives you a Brahma Jnana, right? So I'm trying to understand that part. Make it clear, please. Thanks.
I think Brother Sivadas has already answered that question, which is basically prarabdham, which we are born with, that karma, we have to, that's my understanding from based on what Brother Sivadas also said. Prarabdham is we are born with certain karma store, which we have to exhaust in this life. But if we can get rid of all the vasanas and attain Brahmajnana, then even if we have some account in our, Sanchita or, Agamya, they will be wiped out. Right. So the vasana holds all the keys for our liberation and growth. Brother Sivadas, you can.
Okay, now I got it. Thank you, Sairam.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very good point, that we don't worry about if we are sincere in our spiritual sadhana, we need not worry about the sanjita, which is the accumulated past sins, backs of sins in the previous births. We are not worried about. Only the current prarabdham, which is already written, and we cannot escape it. So, but it does not matter for a sadhaka, because he doesn't feel even like a morphine injection, Baba's example. So like a morphine injection, the spiritual aspirant will not feel the attack of that prarabdha. So only thing is, in the example where brother who is that in USA, Iyer, Sundar Iyer. Sundar Iyer, Bhagawan demonstrated Sundar Iyer in a vessel, cooked vessels cleaning. So when Baba opened the tap water and said that, leave it. So tap water was falling, and automatically the bad particles comes out through the flow of the water, and now the vessel is clean. So likewise, the bad vasanas will be wiped out or removed from our consciousness by inputting more and more good vasanas, especially meditation, namasmarana, contemplation. These things, the more we input it, the more the bad vasanas goes out. Because it's a limited space, like something like that. No? So goes out. So the liberation is close to us. Liberation is close to us. So through these good vasanas, specifically Bhagawan is saying association with great souls, reverence for the great, conversation with them, following their advice, charity, fortitude, love, patience, and courage, truth, continence. So these are the good vasanas, result of the good vasanas, and if we can more and more cultivate on this good vasanas line, then Brahmajnana will be attained. And for a person like the aspirant, Agami is not an issue. Agami is that he is going to do in the future. He will not accumulate because he is determined to go to the source. So he will not have any desirous act towards world. So Agami is no issue. And when this jnani completes, attains Brahmajnana, in that state, there is no good vasanas nor bad vasanas. It's now balanced. Nothing he has in store. So he is attaining to the Brahmanhood state. Because at that time, who cares about the bad Sanjidam? Sanjidam has no connection because he is now liberated. So that's why Ramana Maharshi gave an example. I used to say that a person had 3 wives, and when that person died, Bhagavan asked who becomes a widow? Is the first wife or second wife or third wife? Bhagavan said, all 3 women become widow. Likewise, when that person Brahmajnana is attained, all the karmas are wiped out and he is liberated. So that's the thing. I think, brother, you correctly put it. The others' questions, and thank you, Sairam. Time is also coming closer, I think.
Yeah. One question
Sairam,
from
brother,
sister.
brother, I don't know. I want to ask a question. Like Sister Kalyani was asking the question, putting a seed and it grows up as a tree, and then those are like actions and the part, and then the seeds on the seeds that's coming out of the flower, that's coming out of the tree. Is that the vasanas you explained? That I didn't get that part very well, though. I'm kind of lost there.
Okay, sure.
That analogy, could you kindly elaborate that again for me?
So, yes, I that was what you understood is, I tried to give an analogy because Swami has always used seeds as vasanas. But the thing is, along with the seeds, seeds tendency is to grow. If Swami said, if you plant a mango seed, you will get a mango tree. So vasanas are like that. So the tendency to sprout is there. As Brother Dasan also said, their desires, all that is packed in a seed. But we all know some seeds sprout, some seeds don't sprout. I think the question is Sister Kalyani also asked another question. So that means good vasanas get fried and they won't come with us for the next lifetime. The thing is, even in some seeds, as I said, the good vasanas remain in the seed, but they don't make the seed sprout. Okay. If there's a bad vasana, it will make it sprout, so the good vasanas will come along. But they don't have the tendency to sprout. So the thing is, when we cultivate good vasanas, the seeds which come on the tree will be such that when they are planted, they will not grow. Because that is that side of the seed. There are many seeds which don't sprout. Those seeds are like good vasanas. Even though there is good material, nutrition, everything is there in that seed, that will not make the tree germinate. Whereas bad vasanas make it germinate. That's what my understanding is. So good vasanas will come along, but they are not the cause for our rebirth. Bad vasanas will come along, and they are the cause of rebirth. So the seed actually collects both and comes. But then what happens is, brother, the karma will be, vasanas will again sprout and make you experience the karma. That's my understanding. And again, it's an analogy. It does not necessarily explain everything about karma. That's okay. So I hope.
Sairam, can we say this way? If we don't make use of the good vasanas that we come with, then they go wasted. Is it the right way? Is
Yes,
it one of the ways?
yes.
Yeah.
That's also true. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we all do.
Add one more thing.
Sairam.
Go ahead.
Sairam, this is Akwanti. Is these vasanas compared to banyan tree? The tree that Aswadanta?
Aswatha tree.
Banyan tree. Because it goes up and goes down, and it's never, you cannot find the real root.
Yeah, that's a different. I think Saira, because brother, the time is up. Actually, brother is also busy. We can next study cycle we will go through again. I think.
Yeah, this topic itself is sprouting again and again.
Thanks. You have to explain to us next class.
We'll continue that. I think all of us can explain. We can do our own thinking and contemplating, and we can continue to discuss.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have a good understanding, so we can our sadhana can be focused.
Yeah.
I think that's
thanks to Anandi, she started the question. Thank you very much, sister.
Thank you.
That is our karma. Sister Anandi is part of the team. Good karma, I would say. Okay.
Shubha Vasana, yeah.
It's also our Shubha Vasana that we are joining Sister Manibash, because I was listening to YouTube.
Actually, now we are confused.
Very good.
Yes, I think.
You can wind up now. Okay.
So we'll close the study cycle with Three Omkaram, the Shanti Mantra. Okay, Oh. Samastha sukhino bhavantu. Samastha sukhino bhavantu. Samastha sukhino bhavantu. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sairam, everyone.
Sairam.
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 Sairam.